We must remember that when we sing that Star-Spangled Banner and represent the emblem that is so important for our country. That's what we have to recall, the sacrifices that have been made by others. You cannot disrespect those Americans who sacrificed their lives so that we have the privilege of living in liberty today. That will never be forgotten, or should never be forgotten. That red, white, and blue stands for the red of those who sacrificed their blood so that those of us could live in liberty. The white stands for the purity of those Americans who have worked so hard to retain the traditions of this country. And the blue stands for the mothers who have cried when their sons have been buried in Normandy and across the globe. That red, white, and blue is something that must always be recalled. So I leave you with the following thought. I don't know where we are going as a country, and I'm deeply concerned about the debasement of values. I see it across the board with people who are emulated as heroes and heroines in America, and they do not deserve that kind of classification. But I'm also remember the Ace Lions and people like him who have served this country so heroically in the past. Those people also serve as a model, very often forgotten today. But we have an obligation to remember them. We have an obligation to pass this on to our children. We have an obligation to say our history books are not only going to tell the story of our blemishes, and of course they exist, but to tell of our accomplishments, of our achievements, of our standards. That cannot be forgotten. And so I'll leave you with one last story. There's a story that clearly suggests you do not know what's going to happen from one generation to the next. And I'm always hopeful about the future. It's a story about a young man who was known as Fast Eddie and worked for the Capone gang in the 1920s. He was a lawyer, very clever. Every single time someone was arrested from the Capone gang, there was Fast Eddie in that prison finding some technicality to get this fellow off. Fast forward, I'm going to tell you a story about a young man named Butch O'Hare. Butch was a pilot in World War II. He was sent on a mission and he looked at his gas gauge in his plane and he found he didn't have enough fuel to complete the mission. Radios his captain. Captain says, "Get back to the aircraft carrier." On his way back, he sees 6 Japanese planes. He starts firing at one, takes it out, flies his aircraft into one of the planes, losing his wing but taking out the plane completely, and takes out a third, and the rest scatter. He manages to limp his way back to the aircraft carrier. He continues to fight World War II, ultimately dies in the Marios Islands. He is the most honored naval aviator in American history, winning the Naval Cross and posthumously the Medal of Honor. But he is also remembered because those of you who've flown across this country have stopped in his airport, O'Hare Airport, named after Butch O'Hare, named for the fellow who is the most honored naval aviator in our history. But when you go to Terminal 2 and you read about his exploits, and those exploits are extraordinary, there's one thing that's missing. One little item that's missing. His father was Fast Eddie. In American life, one doesn't know what's going to happen from one generation to the next. It's one of the miracles of America. We can't be sure. You have an obligation to continue the best of our past. That is your obligation. It's the obligation for every student studying in an American school today. We have an obligation to remember our traditions and remember those who gave their lives in Beirut 34 years ago. Thank you very much, and God bless you, and God bless America.
All right, thank you, Dr. London. Joseph, A.J. Rona. What is it?
want to thank Johnny O for putting me in this precarious position to follow Admiral Lyons and then Dr. London. So I'm going to be short and brief. Please let's all remember why we're here today. On October 23rd, 1983, we lost 241 veterans, and it's been 34 years. So I just want to thank a couple of people for making this cap. Obviously, I want to give a round of applause to Joe Hakeem from the International Christian Union. He's really the leader. He's the person who's driving this. Mike Sardino from the Sheriff's Office. Our two passionate keynote speakers for reminding us why we're here and why we must always be vigilant, and why we need to realize that even at war, at peace, our service members are always going to be at risk. I'm pretty sure those Marines that day weren't expecting something like this to happen. And it's as tragic as it is, we have to learn from it, grow from it, and make sure that we support our military the best way we can. So with that being said, I don't want to tell you how old I was when that happened, but I was a very young person. Other than that, thank you so much, everybody, for coming out here. It really shows that people care about our veterans, and that we also have to do a good job of making sure that we remind everybody else that we still do have the military in 140 countries, and any day could be their last. And that's the risk that they're taking by protecting us all here and protecting our freedoms here. So a round of applause for our military as well.
All right, Joseph Hakeem, please.
Where are you? You want to say hi? First of all, I want to thank you for everything you have done for our freedom. Without you guys, this country would not be a great nation. We have the great men and women serving in this country. There is not much I could say when, again, Dr. London speak and Admiral Lyon speak. There's not much I could say, but I could tell you one thing. 34 years ago, somebody committed crime against U.S. soldiers. No one paid for that crime. No one have been accountable on that crime. Justice must be served. I would like to ask everybody around us to never give up until the U.S. government go and take action, bring that whole party that is so-called Hezbollah today, and prior to that they were called Amal movement, as our admiral said. Yes, they were the military wing of Amal movement. We should never settle before justice is being served. I don't care if it takes 50 years, 30 years, 100 years, they should be gone. There's no room for terrorism in this world. There is no room for any behavior like that. We either need to live to the next hundreds of years in peace and coexistence, all of us, and any nature in that radical level must be eliminated. That's all I could tell you. God bless who died. We shall always remember them, and God bless America.
All right, Bill Harrison. We don't have a bell to ring.
Well, everybody said, how do you follow all these great speakers? Well, I feel honored to have them here. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to bring up the casualties that we've had while we were in Beirut. That time period spanned roughly 2 years, 1982 August to about between February and August 1984. Besides the 241 that died on this day, October 23rd, we lost 19 more to rifle fire or mortars. Some of those died here from New Jersey, 2 of them, matter of fact. One got off the phone with his wife who just had a baby. And when the officer told him he didn't have to go back out on the line, he told the officer, "My men are out there and they need me." Well, not long after he was out there, they walked mortars right on top of his position. Never got to see his newborn. At this time, I'm going to read the 8 casualties that we lost from New Jersey. We lost 6 of them in the building and 2 later on from 1 mortar. And the last one I read was taken out by a sniper who was the last casualty actually in Beirut, Lebanon, in 1984. First name will be written PFC William F. Thank you. Could you all stand? Thank you. PFC William F. Burley, USMC, October 23rd, 1983, from Linden, New Jersey. PFC Sean F. Estler, USMC, October 23rd, 1983, Kendall Park. Warrant Officer 1, Paul G. Innocenzi, 3rd, USMC, October 23rd, 1983, Trenton. Corporal Thomas D. Stowe, USMC, October 23rd, 1983, Somerville. Lance Corporal Thomas J. Langdon IV, USMC, October 23rd, 1983, Lakehurst. Sergeant Jeffrey D. Young, USMC, October 23rd, 1983, Morristown. Sergeant Manuel A. Cox, USMC, December 4th, 1983, Union City. Lance Corporal George L. Dramus, USMC, January 30th, 1984, Cape May Courthouse.
May they and all rest in peace. Okay, we have Cardinal. Yes.
I know it's hard to pronounce.
Yes.
The name is Cardinale. And would Assemblyman Orth join me? Admiral, I want you to know I remember when gas was 17 cents a gallon. But this is a joint resolution from the Senate and the Assembly. It's sponsored by myself, Assemblywoman Chapizzi, who had to leave, and Assemblyman Orth. And I want to just comment that this ceremony would not be here without Joseph Hakeem and his committee, and I think we all owe him a very special round of applause for that. I've been on any number of platforms with some pretty outstanding speakers from time to time. And I don't think I have ever been on a platform that was so revealing of reality. And as you were speaking, Admiral, I just marveled looking out at the men who have served and some women who have served, and saying to myself, despite so many problems at the highest levels of our government going back many, many years, it's these folks who really are responsible for our survival as a nation, despite what some of our leaders have done. Now, I'm going to read this resolution. It's not very long. And I want you to understand, Admiral, that we created this resolution before we heard you speak. It would be a lot longer if it was after we heard you speak. It's a joint legislative resolution by Senator Cardinale, Assemblywoman Chapizzi, and Assemblyman Orth. Whereas the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey are pleased to salute and commend the Honorable Admiral James A. Ace Lyons, Jr., a highly esteemed member of his community, who will be honored by the International Christian Union as a keynote speaker during the Honoring Unforgotten Heroes event on October 23rd, 2017. And whereas Admiral James A. Lyons, Jr. served our country with honor and valor as an officer in the United States Navy for a remarkable 36 years, lending his wisdom and expertise as the commander of the United States Pacific Fleet, as well as as senior United States military representative to the United Nations, and as Deputy Chief of Naval Operations. And whereas Admiral James A. Lyons, Jr., renowned as the father of the Navy Red Cell, enjoys a superb career as President, Chief Executive Officer of Lyon Associates, LLC, and he shares his considerable insight as a lecturer, public speaker, and by writing op-ed pieces that have been published by the Washington Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, and Los Angeles Times. And whereas his loyal and efficient naval service has made evident his steadfast commitment to protecting and defending the United States of America, and whereas it is altogether proper and fitting for this legislature to pause in its deliberations to recognize Admiral James A. Lyons, Jr. and to praise him as an individual of outstanding character and exceptional determination. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey that this legislature hereby honors Admiral James A. Lyons, Jr., pays tribute to his meritorious record of service, leadership, and commitment, and extends sincere best wishes for continued success in all future endeavors. And I'm going to present this. It's signed by the Senate President and the Assembly Speaker, and attested by the Secretaries of both houses. And Admiral, I only wish that your speech could be heard on ABC, CBS, NBC, and other things. It's a small crowd, but that would be something that all Americans should be privileged to learn about from someone who was there, who experienced it, and who can tell us all from firsthand experience exactly what went on. Thank you very much for your service.
Admiral Lyons, I just want to briefly say, tell us how you really feel. I thank you very much for coming and being a breath of fresh air here today. I thank the members of the audience who have served our country greatly throughout their service. And I thank Joseph Hakeem and his committee for making it our excuse me one second. And I thank Joseph for making this event take place every year so that we don't forget and we seek out the offenders and give them justice. Thank you.
I got these two names.
Yes.
Major Fife, I just got two new names that showed up. Major Fife, thank you for showing up from the New Jersey State Police. And Mayor Ed Filer from Northville, thank you for coming. All right, now Joseph, you've been working on House Resolution 950. If you want to come up and
It's
HR.
HRS 950. Congressman Garrett last year, before he left office, it was the last resolution was put in Congress. Going forward, we need to continue to make sure every congressman would sign it and make it a bill. I promise and I commit that with the London Center, with all our friends, And with Admiral A's help, we're gonna make sure that every congressman is gonna sign that bill so it go to the Senate so it go into effect. The bill is about the remembrance of the Beirut veterans in every single public, in the same public place, whether it's government, Congress, Washington, public schools, it would be announced and remembers that day as a Beirut Veterans Day.
I sort of put Joseph on the spot, but what we're trying to get done is to have October 23rd as a National Day of Remembrance, where a flag is flown at half-mast on all state and government buildings. Okay, now we have the weighing of the wreaths. Some organizations have some wreaths that we're going to proceed down to the Beirut, well, to the Hall of the Monuments. Since they're doing construction there, it's only going to be the people that are actually going to be taking the wreaths. So let's see. Yeah.
The doorway is clear and they stopped working on
Right. So I'd like to get a representative from the Bergen County Sheriff's Department, Disabled American Veterans, Bergen County Veterans Service, and the International Christian Union to meet down by the wreaths as we place them here.
it.